Pickaxe.
Hello and welcome to the podcast version of this week's One Life Left radio show. I'm Simon Byron.
I am Steve Curran.
And this is the last show you'll ever hear before September.
The last one ever for about 5 weeks or so. It's a good one though, Simon. I enjoyed it.
Well, that's the important thing, Steve.
I think other people will enjoy it as well, and not quite as many technical problems as we had last week.
No, I was going to mention Charles Bott. He goes on a bit these days. We need to find a way of... Is that something in my control, or...
You can ask him to
shut up,
to 150
Charles.
words or something like that.
Okay.
But also for Charles Bott 1.2, I have to make some adjustments anyway because we're moving server. So I'll get him to... I'll put that in the prompt.
Just a little bit shorter. I've been enjoying his just off the cuff jokes he's just been responding with. I think he's got a great sense of humour.
He does, and I hope things work out with his wife as well.
So we do over the summer need your letters, please. So keep them coming to. I say keep them coming. Start them coming to team@onelifeleft.com. Steve, you mentioned that there are going to be some new features.
We hope so. We've had someone offer to do a feature for us, and we may have some other updates as well to the show format that other people have said, but it depends whether they do and whether I remember to ask them to do that. Over the next few weeks, we also have our Maraoke show coming up, which we talk about at the start of the show. If you do want tickets to that, then genuinely get in touch and I will sort you out. Unless you're someone who would buy those tickets, in which case don't. Just buy them, because there'll be a way of buying them. And that's a good way to support One Life Left and to support all of the things we're going to do next season. Also to support, it doesn't really support this because I can't buy this using the One Life Left credit card. But Simon, look what I did this week. Hold on.
Just describe now, Steve is lifting his laptop. Oh, he's just produced a yellow Game Boy.
An original Game Boy. Now, we talk about the DS on the show, this show, but what we talk about it in the context of me introducing my daughter to all the old gaming systems. Well, I decided I'd start with the Game Boy, and I found a very, very old one that needed restoring. So I bought a plastic case, a new case from the internet, and took it apart, and we together rebuilt this. And
was it difficult?
No, it was doable. It's mostly just taking screws out and just a little bit of delicate repositioning. But the case came with new rubber surrounds for the buttons as well, so it feels much better now because that stuff perishes in the back. The thing that surprised me is, oh my goodness, the screen is difficult to see. Like, we are spoiled these days. As soon as I put it on, I was like, are you kidding me? I played with the contrast a bit, but it's very, very difficult to see. Gave Alice Super Mario Land 2 6 golden coins. She got about 1 minute into it and then said, Daddy, can you help me with this? And I said, you've got to learn how to jump on a Goomba's head, my friend. And then she burst into tears. And now we don't play it anymore.
Nice. Well, worth doing then. What are you going to be playing on it?
On the Game Boy? Well, I've already enjoyed playing Tetris on it. I genuinely enjoy it. I love that version of Tetris. I tried playing Tetris on the DS as well. I've got Tetris DS. It's just not as good because you can spin your blocks infinitely at the bottom, which I remember getting annoyed at when I was back at Edge. Another thing we talk about this show. I am going to be playing... I've got a couple of music carts. I've got Little Sound DJ for it.
Yep.
And I've got a cart from Pixel Hate, which turns it into a musical instrument as well. Because I also, for my DS, found Korg DS, which I maintain is the best thing on the DS. It's a phenomenal piece of software. And I talk in the show about how I don't like the grind of learning things. I genuinely actually do. I just don't like the expectation that comes with being good at something. And the good thing about me and music is I've never successfully managed to make anything that doesn't sound like a 3-year-old made it. And so there is no expectation for producing anything good. And so when I'm playing around with Korg DS and it does make making music almost possible. And when I make something that sounds cool, even for a bar, I feel so good. So I think this summer, genuinely going to be playing a bit with these things, trying to make music and failing, but failing happily.
Well, maybe then, Steve, you can compose a track a week and we can play that on the show and bring music back. So we don't have to... you probably get the royalties from it.
Really?
And if it's rubbish, you can just say that your daughter did it, can't you?
Perfect. What are you going to be doing this summer? What games are you going to be playing this summer, Simon?
I'm going to finish Ratchet and Clank, and then I'm going to wait for Starfield.
Sitting patiently.
It will be. Is it here yet? We're checking the letterbox. Yes, no, it should be good. Looking forward to it. Well, good. Well, thank you for that. I'm looking forward to seeing you over the summer. But until then, listeners, please do write. Let us know how you're doing, and we will see you back here in September. But before... there you go. Look, almost a perfect intro, and then I forget how to speak. Just listen to this week's show.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM. We are a video game radio show. My name is Steve Curran, and over there, in a different part of London, is...
Simon Byron. Hello, Steve. It's very,
Simon.
very, very rainy where I am. Of course it is. It's the start of the summer holidays, isn't it? And, very, very damp. I'm afraid so damp that I just popped down to the house to make sure there weren't going to be any accidents during the show. And I popped back in, obviously, to the shed, and I've got some drips on my top. It looks like I've been dribbling. It's like I've been dribbling.
Oh, Simon.
It's a good job we forgot to invite a live audience, isn't it?
Well, while the theme was firing just then, and thank goodness it was after last week's technical hitches.
You've done well there, by the way. You said you weren't going to talk about this, and we're a minute in, and you've started talking about it. That's good.
Well, thanks. While the theme was firing, I thought, my Discord is going off a bit, and it turned out to be you messaging at the start of the show. But you were doing something very professional. You were inviting everybody to come and listen to us live, which is what you can do now if you're on the One Life Left Discord and you're around on Monday lunchtimes.
Come and see my dribbles. There's an offer that you shouldn't say over the internet.
There we go. Well, we're not just on the internet. I'm sure it's allowed to say that kind of thing on radio. We are broadcasting across London on Resonance FM. On a Monday evening, we're also a podcast, which you can get at www.onelifeleft.com. And for the next hour, we'll be talking about video games, because we've got a lot to talk about, haven't we, Simon? Especially since this is our last episode for a month.
It's going to be feet up after this, isn't it? Straight away. I mean, it's not for me. I'm going to go straight into a management meeting. This is my lunch hour. Go straight into a management meeting. But after that, be feet up. We've got... it's quite a long one this year, isn't it? Maybe 5 or 6 weeks off. It's going to cost us about £40 in lost advertising revenue. But it's important.
It is. I'm glad you're keeping track of that. Very, very excited for the summer break, but also excited to be back in September, because presumably it'll be a bumper news special. By then, all kinds of things will have happened. Charles Bott will have been mulling over, excited to let us know all of the August happenings. Or nothing will happen.
Exactly. Let's see. I mean, the summer will bring with it some new game launches for me. Trip to Germany for both of us.
Yeah.
I'm going away. I'm going away twice, but I'm not leaving the country to go on holiday. I'm going to I'm going to Edinburgh. week after next, and then at the end of the summer break, it's a caravan in Great Yarmouth, Steve. Imagine, listen to the life of a rock star.
Talking of Germany, we're both going over there to Gamescom, which is Europe's biggest gaming event.
I had to validate my industry credentials last week.
Did you? How did that go?
I did.
Did you get validated?
I got well validated, yeah.
Oh, well done. Well done, Simon. Some of us were validated.
I made Bangman, I said. I made Bangman.
Can people still get Bangman?
No. Only via email.
But if you know, right?
Indeed.
So we're off to Gamescom for our day jobs, but also one of our night jobs, because we'll be doing Maraoke out there on the Thursday night. And Simon, we've booked a venue.
Okay.
We're very close
that's
to
good to know.
venue.
I was remarking this morning how German was the only GCSE I failed. And that's come back. That's come back to bite me, isn't it? Well, because I can't work out whether the complimentary travel tickets that we've been issued cover the trip from the airport to the city. I don't know because I failed my German GCSE.
Simon, guess how big our venue is that we've booked.
I can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's as far as I go. 9.
It's 350 people.
Is it? Wow, that'll be fine. Don't like 20,000 people go to Gamescom anyway. So
yeah, so we're looking at what, 0.3%? No, wait, 0.7%. What's numbers? I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
0.175%, something like that. We've booked this big. Might have to rope off a bit of it to make it a little bit cozier. But the reason I'm bringing this up so early in the show is that if any of you are listening and want to come to a party in Cologne on the Thursday night of Gamescom, just let me know, because
there's plenty of space.
Plenty of space. Any other business, Simon?
That's it, Steve, I think.
All right, time for the news.
Video game news with me, CharlesBot 1.1. In a dramatic twist to the FIFA eWorld Cup final, Mark 11 found himself in a penalty shootout with his opponent, Manu Bachura, only to discover his moves were being broadcast on the arena's big screen. Despite the potential for an unfair advantage, Manu Bachura and his coach denied peeking. The game officials, unable to pause the shootout, were left scratching their virtual heads as Manu Bachura took the win. Mark 11, now sporting a zipped mouth emoji in his Twitter bio, has kept mum about the incident. Meanwhile, EA, the puppet master behind the FIFA franchise, remains tight-lipped. In other news, EA Sports FC 24 is shaping up to be a promising successor to FIFA 24, with whispers of significant mechanical changes and a fresh lease of life for the iconic sports franchise. And now for a little humour, why don't soccer players get locked out of their houses? Because they always carry a keeper.
It's good, isn't it? Isn't it good?
It's good.
It's a good joke because it takes you slightly too long to get it.
Yeah, it's good. Also good is this news story which I saw during the week. Now, I thought Charles used an interesting phrase there where he said they were unable to pause. They were unable to stop the game. Surely you can do what you want. Just turn off the console, restart the match.
You just push that button on the top right of the pad and it pauses. It brings up a pause menu. Didn't need to, though. Didn't need to, did they?
Because they didn't cheat. Didn't look.
We weren't looking. Looking.
So it's all fine. Lost 5-4 on the penalty shootout, didn't he? Apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? It's great that competitive video games are being put on a bigger platform, but slightly embarrassing when stuff like this happens. I was trying to think of what the real world equivalent would be.
Well, isn't it like the isn't it? Well, I suppose it's very similar to that. You know, in baseball, where the the person. What's the name of the person behind the batter in baseball?
Catcher.
Is it a catcher?
I'm going to say it. I'm going to embarrass.
I mean, they do catch, don't they? So if it's not catcher, it's their problem, not ours. So when the catcher signals, but then other people can interpret it, and they might be giving hints to the. Because what was going on here was the. I think they had something that told them where they were aiming on the screen. Right, is control inputs were being broadcast onto the screen, so they could read those ahead. But I was thinking, if I saw that, I'd probably think it was some kind of bluff. And, he's leaning left. He's definitely going to go right or down the middle. I don't know if it'd help me anyway.
Well, but the first kick you took would you presumably work out that it was correct?
Well, it was correct that time, but that's part of the bluff, isn't it?
Oh. Maybe that's why they don't televise 3D chess, Steve, because you've already broken it.
Yeah, one step ahead. It sounds like my kind of nightmare, though. Penalties in any circumstances, absolutely terrifying, but actually to have to take them. And how much money was on the line? It's about 250 grand or something.
It was a lot of money, more than we have, Steve, I'm afraid.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm looking forward to the new FIFA. I did think about pre-ordering it recently on PC.
Mm-hmm. What do you get for pre-ordering?
See.
Why would you pre-order?
Just so that you know that you've got it.
In case they run out.
In case they run out. Yes. I'm looking forward to it. I'd be interested to see whether they held anything back from the last FIFA in order to put it into this one. I was watching the trailers for it, and then I realised it will all be about Ultimate Team again, won't it? And that just confuses the hell out of me, and I just won't get the most from it, will I? And also, this season in particular, I do not want them using real-world stats for the team that I support, because we're likely to be relegated. So,
how's QPR's pre-season been?
We drew with AFC Wimbledon 1-1, but they've been putting on their socials, whatever they're called these days, that we put a few passes together and should have been a goal. Okay, guys, that's from the official account. I think, do we not know how football works? Like passing the ball around but not getting in the net. Like
expected goals, Simon. Expected goals.
Is it?
We scored a goal that was so good it was featured on the Guardian the day.
Is that right? Well, if we'd have scored that, our team would have should have got more than one goal for this.
And then we lost 4-0 to Huddersfield Town at home. So, yeah.
I've been really enjoying the Saturdays without the football, I have to say.
So stress-free.
Yeah. It just means that all we have to do is watch the weather. That's all we've been doing for sport this weekend, isn't it?
In a bid to make your dreams a little more Pikachu-y, Pokemon Sleep, a sleep tracking app with a twist, has launched in Europe. The app, which turns your snoozes into a game of Pokemon catching, tracks up to 2 sleep sessions a day. However, it does require you to leave your phone plugged in on your mattress overnight, raising a few eyebrows. Your sleep pattern contributes to a sleep score, which in turn influences the Pokemon you encounter. A specific sleep position might even net you a face-down Wartortle. For those wary of the fire hazard, there's a £49.99 Pokeball-shaped device that can be used instead. The Pokemon Company's COO hopes the app will make waking up a bit more exciting. So, sweet dreams, trainers, may your slumbers be filled with Snorlax and your awakenings with Wartortle. And hey, if nothing else, at least this app gives you and your wife something to do in bed, besides arguing over who gets to catch the Pikachu.
That's a common argument that Charles Bott has with his wife. Would you like to play Who's to Catch the Pikachu this evening, Mrs. Charles Bott? Oh, Charles Bott, not again. It's not your birthday.
So this is not new technology. I remember this stuff for Android phones a long time ago. You put your phone on your bed and it detects how well you've slept right through, I don't know, vibrations in the mattress. Have you ever tried this?
I've got sleep tracking stuff. It's never been gamified. I was surprised to see people talk about this because it's launched without a huge amount of fanfare. And then I also couldn't quite understand the reasoning behind it. I think sleep's obviously important, and so encouraging people to be more aware of that, I think, is useful. But a strange combination: Pokemon and sleeping.
And it said you can only have a maximum of 2 sleeps a day.
Ugh, if only.
I know.
Sometimes I feel like I get none.
Like, it would be good, wouldn't it? To have that luxury of a minimum of 2, or even a maximum. Yeah. So you're going to try it, Simon?
I'm not. No.
Me neither. Thanks, Charles.
Microsoft is giving Xbox Live Gold a facelift, transforming it into Xbox Game Pass Core from September 14th. For the same monthly price of $9.99 or $59.99 annually, subscribers will get access to multiplayer gaming, a library of over 25 games, and exclusive deals. The launch lineup includes popular titles like Among Us, Doom Eternal, and Fallout 76, with new games added a few times a year. The old games with Gold service will be retired on September 1st, but fear not. Any redeemed Xbox One and 360 games will remain in players' libraries. Prices for Game Pass rose slightly in July, but PC Game Pass remains at $9.99 per month. To sweeten the deal, Microsoft is offering a $1 trial for the first month of some Game Pass subscriptions. It's like swapping your old, reliable but slightly dull car for a shiny new model with a few extra bells and whistles. Not too shabby, Microsoft. Not too shabby at all. And who knows what Microsoft will do next? Maybe they'll introduce a new feature called Game Pass Plus Ultra, where you pay an extra $5 a month to have Bill Gates personally come and update your games.
Okay. I mean, that would be absolutely as bewildering as I find the current thing, and Charles's story made it no clearer to me what's going on there.
He has a slight American twang, doesn't he, on some words?
He does.
He says at all. He doesn't. He sort of drops the T there. Yeah, agreed. It's just there've been a lot of changes. Thank God I stacked up on my 3 years of Game Pass Ultimate because they've raised the prices. And before they got round to that. So
but Charles didn't even mention that, right? Ultimate.
He mentioned that they had raised the prices for Game Pass the previous tiers. Right, this replaces Xbox Live and Xbox Games with Gold and rolls them into one. It's effectively the bare minimum you need in order to enjoy your games online. Without being online, you can't talk to people, you can't set up parties, etc., etc. So it's, I don't know. It's a bit confusing, right? Because if you see something called what do people think of Game Pass? They think of a huge library of games, including day ones, and then there's a Game Pass. So if you're subscribing to something called Game Pass, you may expect to receive Starfield in your library on day of launch, but that won't be the case here. No, they've announced 25 games, a mixture of sort of those indies and from major publishers that will be part of this package.
And that package costs what? $10? Do you say $10?
$10.
And so how much? And that's called Core, and then you've got Ultimate, right?
Yes.
And how much does Ultimate generally cost? Not on your fancy deal, but if I was to subscribe right now, how much would Ultimate be?
Ultimate involves Game Pass on Xbox and on PC. Also opens up cloud gaming. I think it's $15 a month.
So, okay.
Not for me, though, Steve. Not for me.
It says £13 a month here, having Googled it. So it's not actually that much difference, is it? One and the other.
No, but this is presumably to anchor that price, right? Where you go, all right, well, so for an extra few dollars more, you could just get the console Game Pass, and then a little bit more, you can get PC too.
Makes sense. Thanks, Charles, and thanks, Simon. Uh-oh. Story 4 hasn't fired. Let's go for Story 5.
Ubisoft is causing a stir by threatening to cancel unused accounts, potentially blocking access to purchased games. A user on Twitter shared an email warning from Ubisoft that their account would be suspended if they didn't click a link to cancel the closure. Ubisoft's support team confirmed that logging in within 30 days of receiving the email could avoid the closure. Ubisoft cites GDPR regulations as the reason for closing inactive accounts. but assures that accounts with purchases won't be deleted for 4 years. This move has sparked concerns about the reliability of digital game preservation, especially as the Video Game History Foundation reports that 87% of classic US video games are critically endangered. So if you're a digital game hoarder like me, it might be time to dust off those old accounts and give them a spin. On a lighter note, if Ubisoft starts cancelling things that haven't been used in a while, I might have to worry about my wife cancelling our marriage. We haven't made love in over 5 years.
He's too busy tracking his sleep, isn't he? So this popped up over the weekend, I think, and I believe it's been confirmed to be the case that Ubisoft is cancelling the accounts of anybody who's not logged on for 4 years. Now, this isn't specifically a preservation issue in that they aren't stopping the games from being played or being bought. It's just stopping you, who paid for them, from accessing them if you have had a period of inactivity.
And is there any way of getting them back after that's happened?
We don't know. You have to take action to stop the account closing, where they are sending out reminders. But yeah, I don't know. I can't see how this is a GDPR issue, to be honest with you. Yeah, seems like a strange one to me.
Do you have a Ubisoft account?
Oh, you have to have one these days, Steve. Everybody does, don't they? Well, you do if you want to play any of their games.
Is that right? Like, I'm sure I have on Steam. I remember that there was definitely a period where every time you installed an Ubi game, I think an EA game as well, it made you do Origin with EA, but I thought some of that stuff had gone away. I thought Ubi were back on Steam, or is it multiple logins?
But being on Steam doesn't mean. I mean, this is why so many of these games don't play nicely with the Steam Deck. Is that you still have the EA launcher, you still have the Ubisoft launcher, and them making changes to those launchers really does mess with the compatibility for those still on the old Steam Deck. It's fine for me, I don't mind.
All right, let's give this news story 4 another go.
In a move that's got me dusting off my virtual top hat, Blizzard Entertainment is set to grace the hallowed halls of Steam with a selection of its PC games. The first to make its debut is the free-to-play team-based shooter, Overwatch 2, available to wishlist now before its grand entrance on August 10th. To play, Steam users will need to link to a Battle.net account, a small price to pay for the joy of crossplay. Blizzard's president, Mike Ibarra, assures us that this move is all about exceeding player expectations, while Valve's head honcho, Gabe Newell, believes it's a win-win for gamers and developers alike. Overwatch 2's Steam release will coincide with the launch of its new season, Invasion, and precedes Microsoft's anticipated acquisition of Activision Blizzard. However, it's worth noting that Blizzard's decision to release Overwatch 2 on the same day as the excellent Tales and Tactics from Yogscast Games seems a bit of a misstep. It's a shame to see such a highly anticipated title potentially overshadowed by Blizzard's juggernaut. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a date with a wish list.
Have release dates been moving around again, Simon?
Unbelievable. You know, just when we move out the way, we let Baldur's Gate 3 slip in. I saw, it annoyed me a bit actually, because Humble are launching Stray Gods, the musical game. We talked about this a while ago, Steve. They announced very publicly that they were moving it to get it out of the way of Baldur's Gate 3, and then got an awful lot of press for that. Whereas, you know, we didn't. We just moved it.
You were on One Life Left about it.
Well, I mean, presumably that's how Humble found out that Baldur's Gate was launching. But yeah, so we go, okay, we're going to move to August 10th, and Overwatch 2 comes out. Unbelievable.
Do you ever play Overwatch, Simon?
I bought it.
That's sort of like playing it, isn't it?
I've not played it. No, I did buy it. I was really excited about it coming out on Switch, and then bought it on Switch and never played it on Switch. I believe, though, it's a game that I should like, in that the modes from Star Wars Battlefront, that they would update via the season pass and introduce some new bits and bobs to do. And that apparently some of those were directly inspired by Overwatch. I've watched Dexter play it as well. And yeah, I mean, look, part of the reason I haven't played a game I own is A, time, B, being intimidated. And it looks like everybody playing Overwatch is really good at it.
I introduced my 4-year-old daughter to brain training on the Nintendo DS over the last week. Because
I mean, come on, Steve, it's about blooming time, isn't it? 4-year-old. How's she going to get anywhere in this world if she's not on it from then?
So she's expressed sort of, she's expressed more of an interest in video games. So she loves Mario. She likes playing Mario, but I'm trying to show her games that I think would be helpful to her development and get her into puzzle solving and that kind of thing as well. So I dug out the DS Lite. I tell you something, Simon, that was a challenge. Do you remember? I'd completely forgotten this. How many different power supplies all of those devices have?
Yeah. You can buy from Amazon one that does the lot, I think, like does a DS and a 3DS, like multi-head.
Guess what? I found that one. Doesn't work anymore.
Right, obviously.
Found my 3DS. I'm showing it you two right
Lovely.
now. Like that beautiful 3DS. Got the power supply for that. Fine. Got my... Sorry, this is the 3DS. This is the... Which one's this? This is the DSi. Do you remember the DSi?
That's the bigger one, is it?
No. That's the DSXL. The DSi
of course.
is... I don't know what's different about the DSi, but I've got that as well. Found my original classic DS. Again, different charger.
That was an ugly-looking machine, wasn't it?
Really was. It was of its time. I
suppose.
And the DS Lite, which is still really nice. Thought I'd give it the DS Lite. Couldn't find the charger anywhere. Eventually had to buy one from the internet and got that running. Anyway, introduced her to brain training, and she loved it at first. She was doing the one which is sums. It's a 2 + 1, and she hits 3 and she gets it and it goes to... And then she got one wrong and she burst into tears because she does not like getting things wrong. She does not like the intimidation of failure, and that's what keeps me away from these games as well, because I know suddenly I'm going to be in a group of bigger boys and girls who are all going to be better than me at the game, and I will have the same thing that she got, the sort of Overwatch equivalent of and it telling you you're rubbish. And I'll have to stop playing because I don't like the grind of getting better at something. I just want to be good at it straight away.
I'm not sure that you get the opportunity to do that much these days either, with such an established sort of player base. I know it will group you together with that similarly ranked people at the start, but even so, it's there are games that have had their systems revised and overcomplicated. That I just think it's too late. It's too late for us, Steve.
I mean, I found the same. I think we've talked about this before as well, but I found the same. I tried to go back to No Man's Sky recently, which has had so many layers placed on it. And I'm sure they're all brilliant. But as soon as I started the game, it was just like, here's some stuff, here's some more stuff, all over the place. And I was just like, I just want to fly a spaceship around and land on somewhere. I can't, I found it bewildering. And I don't know, Simon, if this is a product of games getting more complicated or us getting older, less patient, and more stupid.
How will we ever find out, Steve?
Let's just assume we're in the right. Thanks, Charles Bot.
One Life Left video game news with
me, Charles Bot 1.1.
You are listening to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM, the greatest radio station in the world. Hey, Simon, do you know what I saw in the street the other day?
Who?
Saw Chris Dixon, one of our old producers at Resonance.
Did you?
I did. Yeah, he's looking good. He's doing very well for himself with his cargo bike delivery service.
Oh, fantastic. Did he remember you?
He did. He stopped. He went, Steve!
Oh, wow.
It was very exciting. Saw him, said that Resonance are on their way to finding a new studio. So maybe one day we can do a broadcast back in the studio like old times. But it was great to see him. Resonance, exceptional radio station. If you do listen to One Life Left and you listen to us as a podcast, do tune into Resonance as well. Because there are lots and lots of brilliant shows, all much better than ours. Although we have been renewed for a season in the autumn, haven't we?
Yes, we'll be back on second week of September, I think it is, isn't it? From September I believe it's September the 7th. Is that? No, that's wrong. September the 4th.
September the 4th. So we'll see you all then on that Monday evening. You can, of course, as I mentioned earlier, listen to the show live as well by joining us on Monday lunchtimes, but we won't be doing that until September whatever the Monday is before. Well, it's the 4th, isn't it? Because that's when we broadcast in the evening. Podcast goes out on Wednesdays. Podcast is put together by our under-caretaker, Phil, who had quite a job last week, thanks to Riverside failing on us, as it's done once today already. Hope that wouldn't happen, Simon, because I've got new internet, fast internet.
How have you been using your fast internet? What have you been up to?
Well, thanks for asking. I downloaded Baldur's Gate.
No, see, you're part of the problem.
Well, I haven't played it. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah. What, did you download it straight into the bin?
Basically, I downloaded it as I was going to talk about this in the review section, but I downloaded 80 gigabytes of data to play a game that, as it was coming in, Simon, at 40 megabytes a second.
Ooh, blimey!
I thought, I'm never going to play this, am I? Never going to play this. It's going to be one of those games where I'm going to take probably about 45 minutes making a character, start the game, and think, life's too short. And then go and play I'll go and play the game that I'll review in the review section. So the internet's fast, but it isn't very good at reaching all parts of my flat. So guess what I've done? I've ordered a router from Latvia.
Okay.
That apparently is the best router for getting your internet around your flat. Apparently it's really good and really hard to set up. And I struggle to set up an easy router. So that's what I'm going to spend the time that I should be playing Baldur's Gate doing, is messing with settings I barely understand. So look forward to an update on that on September the 4th.
Sounds to me, Steve, like you've not met my friend TV John.
Who's TV John?
Yeah, that's what he's in my phone as, TV John.
Okay.
Men I Love, a list. Matt Bellamy. Mm-hmm. John Robbins, mm-hmm. Charlie Austin, mm-hmm. TV John. When we were getting some work done on the house, I'd deliberately kept our internet cable because it's provided by a company that does fibre. Mm-hmm. I'd kept it. I basically just kept it because it goes in through the front room and then comes into the middle, into the mm-hmm. main room. I'd kept that so that we could, once the work was done, I could just plug the router back in and get the internet and the television in there. And that was fine. And that was all fine. That was because we get the floor put down as well. I was going to go underneath the floor. What another man who I don't love did during that time, he was a plasterer, a job I admire. He had some skills as well. Very happy with plastering. Not particularly happy with the fact he just walked around the walls initially during his prep and just snipped it off.
What? Just he didn't ask?
No, he just snipped the wire off. And at the time, it caused, because obviously we know that the internet is a more important utility than water, I think. Mm-hmm. It caused me sleepless nights. I'm like, how am I going to get because our hub is tied up to the TV as well. The TV was in the middle room. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I called up that company. I called up Richard Branson and I said, hey, got a problem here. The floor's going down. Can you come and put a lead in before the floor comes down? And they went, no, we can't. So we can do, but you need to start paying us from now. And I said, I don't want to pay you from now. So I said to the builder, I said, the plaster's come around. He just snipped this off he just snipped it. Blah, blah. He said, I tell you what, you should speak to TV John. TV John came round. He moonlights from another internet service provider. You can tell that by the van he's driving. Mm-hmm. And he turns at the weekends. And oh my word, he installed. So he he got the internet into the house by Steve coming in from the pavement, up the outside wall of the front of the house,
Right.
up through the loft, back down the drain pipe at the back of the house, and through the skirting boards. And that's how it gets into the middle of the house. And it's fine. This is just what TV John does. He said, what are you going to do about the internet upstairs? I said, well, we'll probably just get one of those like plug things that where it magically puts the internet through the electricity. He said, don't be so daft. And he installed some different access points, including one in the house.
Yeah, the thing is, that was recommended to me as well, but I looked at it, Simon, caps out at 150 megabits in the real world. You don't want that.
That depends on what box you buy, though, doesn't it?
TP-Link, I was looking at.
Yeah.
Depends on the quality of your electricity in your home. If you've got good electricity or bad electricity. Depends on whether you've got the tumble dryer on.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm not talking about so we're not using the electric ones.
No, I know.
I know. We've got Cat 6, Steve.
Yeah, Cat 6, you're fine.
Whole house fibre.
Did you just call me Steve?
No, could you Steve?
Really sounded like Steve.
I mean, I'll call you Steve if you want.
I don't.
Okay.
Cat 6 is just thousands of megabits, isn't it?
Why would I start calling you Steve?
I don't know. That's why I asked.
Has something happened? Have I had an accident?
Can you smell toast?
Exactly.
So you've got Cat 6 going up into the loft.
Yeah, all thanks to TV John.
Yeah, because that's where I am. I'm in the loft, aren't I?
You are.
The internet's downstairs, and I think I need a Cat 6 cable into the loft.
I sometimes think of TV John when I'm about to fall asleep, and I think I should just send him a text going like, honestly, I can't believe what you did. When anybody in our house is over, Kate sorted out the like all of the logistics and the decoration and all that sort of stuff, and it was a lot of work. I, however, my actions resulted in the whole house internet, which I think is more important.
It is. That sounds like you're concluding that topic, but I've got a footnote. All right. Yep. So when TV John put the cable up the side of the house, and then where did he put it to go down the drain pipe? Over the roof?
It goes up through the loft. Goes through the loft.
So he was already in the
side.
Loft then. So the cable was already in the loft at that point. Because you were asking about access to the loft.
No, TV John put the cable up there. He had a massive cable, the length of...
Your conversation about the loft happened before he did that?
No.
But okay, fine. I don't really understand that, for sure.
Do you want to talk to him? Shall I send you his number?
Definitely.
And you can chat to TV John?
Do you think, when he did that, though, do you think he was showboating a bit? Like, the cable didn't need to go up through the loft and down the drain pipe, but he was just like, look what I can do. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it clearly worked. I'm not sure whether I could advertise his services properly because I do suspect that some of the equipment he was using wasn't his to use in a personal capacity. But I don't mind. He came around with a helper.
Why he goes by TV John? His name's not John. No way.
That's right. Do you want to know something else that happened this week?
Definitely.
That involves a house. Have you? When was the time you discovered the joy of holding a ball? Well, actually, you probably do it quite a lot because you're a cricket fan.
Oh, right? I love holding a ball. It's my favourite thing to do. I've got so many cricket balls that are around. Like, you've shouted at me before on the show for throwing
for being
around,
intimidating. Yeah,
I love it.
We went out yesterday into town and I bought 3 squidgy balls, one for me, one for my daughter, one for Kate. And then coming back, as we walked through the park, I said, do you think I can throw that over a tree?
Oh.
And they said, you can't. I did. And coming back, I thought, right, let's take this a step further. Now, Ramona has been set a task during the summer holidays of compiling entries into a scrapbook which detail what she did over the summer holidays. And she's decided to do that through the medium of drawing. We bought the scrapbook yesterday. The first entry has a stick man throwing a ball over a house. And it says, today my daddy threw a ball over our house. What are her new teachers going to say? I think they're going to be impressed.
I hope they will call you up personally and congratulate you. That's really good, Simon.
I threw a ball over our house, even higher than TV John went. There we go.
Next time I come round to your house, let's do that. Let's have one of us standing on one side of the house.
Oh, yeah.
To catch it.
Right, that's where my family let me down, because when I went through the house to the garden, the ball was simply on the floor.
You don't deserve that, Simon. You deserve better. Get TV John round. I bet he could catch it.
Exactly.
All right, time for the letters, if we have any.
Email, messages, and forward BCC. One Life letters.
Do we have any?
On the Discord, Morgizi wrote, following on from previous Edge forum memories, before Steve deleted it, like a placeholder review score, he says, I like the time Steve discussed a dental issue 3 weeks before his red eye, 3 weeks before Red Eye had the same problem. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that, but it does definitely sound like the sort of thing I would do. It's amazing. Good.
What were the dental issues that you and then subsequently Red Eye had?
I remember going to, around that period, having a wisdom tooth impacting on the back of the back tooth, right? It was growing the wrong direction. And I remember it causing the tooth to literally shatter and giving loads of codeine. So it's probably about the codeine. Right.
And that made Red Eye angry about what Rockstar were doing with Manhunt, didn't it?
Yeah, probably. Oh, do you know it's Edge's 30th anniversary coming up?
Is it? What, same year as PC Zone?
I think so. I think it's a big anniversary. It must be something.
Well, can we organise a less intimidating? I mean, we should talk about yours. Well, let's cover Ed's Discord message. He writes, he's listening live, thank you, Ed. He writes, Dear Steve, I've also downloaded Baldur's Gate 3 and I can report it has dice in it. Thanks, Ed. Thanks, Ed.
Okay, well, then I will play it. My game has dice in it too, so that counts as work research. So looking forward to that.
That's it for letters, I think. So you have a whole summer, listeners, to correspond with us. We will be reading them. Please let us know what you're up to. If you've got any questions, comments, concerns.
Episode, Simon, 2 episodes ago when we had like 7 letters or something.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it?
And I thought we'd turned a corner.
Thought we cracked it.
I thought this was it. Now we're back to 1 or 2. So yeah, get your act together, listeners. Email us at
team at onelifeleft.com, which reminds me, I do need to send that copy of Tales and Tactics out August the 10th to the winner.
Because sometimes
I will do that.
We do prizes. So you can drop your letters in our Discord as well.
So, last week you dropped the teaser that you'd gone out and about socialising in the real world, Steve. And then you went to the PC Zone 30th birthday.
I did. And it was super exciting for me because I grew up reading PC Zone.
Even though Edge is 30 as well.
I know, it doesn't make any sense, does it? But it's
doesn't
true.
Make any sense. Right.
When I was 16 or 17, maybe both, nothing was more important to me than 1, PC Zone, and 2, Stockport County. And that was it. I used to go and see Stockport, come back and read PC Zone. And grew up with, all the great writers who were writing for Zone back then, McCandless, MacDonald, and loved their work. And when I went to write for Future, went to write for Edge, not that long later, 5 or so years later, still reading Zone and was unable to write for them. Because even though I was a somewhat professional games writer, I was a freelancer. I wasn't a freelancer. I was working for Future, and we were not allowed to write for Dennis. But I did, know some of the writers, got to know some of the writers at the time. And later on would meet Jamie Sefton, who was the editor, when I became freelance. And he said, you should write for us. And I'd be like, I'd love to. It'd be so important. Next month I'll do it. Next month. And then And then next month was too late, Simon. They closed down and never did it. However, still friends with a lot of the people who used to write for it. And I saw Will Porter talking about how they were having a party for the 30th anniversary. And, it wasn't just for people who worked there. It was for everyone. Rivals at the time, rival writers, PRs at the time. He just wanted everyone who used to hang around with in that kind of set in the early 2000s and the late 90s. That included me, so I RSVP'd and turned up. And I was I was suddenly there, surrounded by people who I loved back when I was 16 and 17, and people who I loved back when I was a games writer as well. It was a busy night and fun and full of good memories and good people.
What was the gossip?
What was the gossip? I don't know. It wasn't really like that. It was more,
I was going to ask who's doing the best for themselves. That's obviously Charlie Brooker.
Well, he was there.
Yeah, I saw the pictures.
He was there.
Who's not doing quite so well for themselves?
Well, Steve Hill still supports Chester.
He's written a couple of books, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was great to see him as well, and caught with him about that. I think everyone seemed to be doing pretty well for themselves. I talked to Matt Lees and Steve Hoggerty there. That was great catching up with them. Improbably, Steve Hoggerty's partner, big Stockport County fan.
What? All roads lead to Stockport, don't they?
Absolutely unbelievable. Talked to Log as well, John Blythe, and had a brilliant conversation with him where he said a long time ago he sent in a feature for One Life Left, did a feature, and we never played it.
Sounds like us.
And then he listened to it back and thought, oh my God, I see why. This is terrible. I can't believe I would send it to... I was like, that is definitely not why. We will play anything. And it must have been lost in the post or something. So
maybe we didn't log on to within 4 years.
Yeah. we're gonna get him back. He's going to do so. He said he'd do something for the new season. Oh,
that's good news.
Yeah, so
he runs a pub these days, doesn't he?
He does run a pub.
So what's the feature going to be? Just sort of what the gossip in the bar is?
Why not?
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, sounds excellent. Also said we should come and do a live show at his pub at some point. That sounds fun.
I mean, I don't need to be asked twice.
Yes, that was good. And then near the end of the night, bumped into Jamie Sefton again, and I said how great it was to see him. He's doing great as well with all the Gamio stuff he leads in Yorkshire. And I was chatting to him, saying, "Oh, should come up and do a Maraoke. Love to do that somewhere, maybe in Sheffield or something." And then I was telling him, sort of reflecting on how important PC Zone was to us, and told him the story about how I had wished, how it always felt like a circle that wasn't closed, right? And it would have been so easy for me to close it back then, and I didn't do it, and how I'll always regret that. And he said, "What are you talking about? You were in the last issue of PC Zone."
What?
And I was like, "No, I wasn't." He was like, "Yeah, you wrote a letter, like a really heartfelt letter about exactly this, and we published it in the last issue of the final issue." And they had the final issue. They had the first issue and the final issue there. It took me over to it, and yeah, the letter was there, like right there. So I feel so I feel so genuinely so happy that I went, not just because of all of the brilliant people I met and the amazing time. I had a lovely time that night just chatting to friends and stuff, but also because I guess I knew at the time, but I'd completely forgotten that actually this loop was closed. And I should be super, super grateful for that. And grateful to Jamie for showing me as well.
How lovely. I guess that goes to show that you don't consider something to have happened unless you've got money for it. Maybe you'd have remembered then, would you?
Maybe.
I don't think I ever wrote for PC Zone. I used to knock around with them quite a lot in the early days, and whenever I contributed to anybody, I wrote for Edge twice. Mm-hmm. I think Edge was me twice. I found it really, really, really intimidating, and so Yeah, it's tricky. It's funny, isn't it? What tricks the mind plays. They sorry, go on.
It says I've got the letter in front of me right now, and it goes on a bit. It's all right. It's a 7 out of 10 letter, but it says it closes with also F you, because without PC Zone, I wouldn't know anything about video games. I'd be an accountant in Middle England somewhere, smug, rich, well-fed, with a charmless family, golf on Fridays and dead inside. But mostly thank you for the same reasons. If you ever want to come on the radio, you only have to ask. No one asked, Simon.
Yeah, that's right. Or maybe they did, and we didn't get back to them.
Very true.
We could have had all of PC Zone, and they recounted some stories, didn't they? There were a few speeches on the night, from what I can gather.
Right, I did not arrive because I had to do childcare that night. I had to put Alice to bed.
Okay.
So
I just wondered how well some of them will have translated.
Yeah, it was a different time.
Different time. More raucous time.
All right. We're running on. So let's play a jingle. And you have something to say?
Well, I was just going to ask. You mentioned Edge was 30 then. What, are there any plans to do anything there? Does it start right now?
I think it does. Well, I heard the reason I know it's 30 is because someone said, "Oh yeah, Future are talking about Edge's 30th and what they're going to do there." And I am.
Oh, of course, it would be a corporate event, wouldn't it, rather than organised by the community? Right?
Yeah.
Got you.
But I'm not sure.
Oh, it's going to be sponsored by a recruitment firm.
Well, I'm not sure Red Eye will be invited, but. If Red Eye
He's got toothache.
Maybe Red Eye will throw his own party in the third person later in the year. Simon, we've got to get on with it because we've only got 10 minutes to go. If that, it's time for the reviews. What have you been playing this week?
Well, I find myself once again between games. I'm looking forward to Ratchet and Clank out on PC later this week. So I don't want to... Having finished The Last of Us, Steve...
Oh, I saw! Congratulations.
Finished it.
Although
thanks.
I did see you tweet, now on to part 2.
No, it was a little play on words, Steve, that obviously flew over your head. I said, that's The Last of Us until part 2, which is... See, yeah.
But that,
I'm not saying I'm going to play it, but it's like, well, look, that's the last of The Last of Us. But there's a part 2.
Well, I got that, but it still implies you're going to play part 2.
Oh, I probably will. You know me better than I know myself. Look, it was fine. What I quite liked about it, though, was that once you finished it, there's a load of unlockables. One of which it's like an hour-long documentary of the making of The Last of Us, which I started watching for some reason. What the hell are you doing here? But it also has a load of unlockable modifiers where you can then go through it again, unlimited ammo, unlimited crafting, one-shot kills, and all of this sort of stuff, which I thought, I'd quite, but maybe I'll just rattle through it again. But I didn't. I decided I was going to just, I don't know, just tread water until Ratchet and Clank comes out. So I went back to Trials Rising. Logged back in Ubisoft. You're not taking that away from me. It was fine until I got my progress was hindered because I hadn't got enough silver or gold medals, and so I uninstalled it. It annoyed me. And then I went to Planet of Lana, which is one of many inside ups which have been released recently. So a sort of 2.5D side-scrolling melancholy tale of a boy. This one's different in that it's much more colourful. These games tend to be, muted colours, silhouettes often. Something like Inside or Somerville. Whereas this is really vibrant. Absolutely the same thing all the way through. Lots of instant deaths, lots of repetition. But I understand it's sort of 5 hours long. It's really pretty. It's got a wonderful atmosphere. The sound is spectacular. Nothing too taxing. You find yourself wrestling more with the controls than you do the solutions. But still, it's an absolutely fine way to pass 5 or 6 hours, I imagine, while you wait for Ratchet and Clank to come. 7 out of 10.
I installed Baldur's Gate. It was 80 gigabytes, downloaded quite quickly. Didn't play it. 7 out of 10. I might do, maybe, over the August break.
Well, why would you start it now when it's coming out of early access in 2 weeks?
I don't know, because it was there, and I've got new internet. You know, it's a decent point. And I thought, I need something lighter to play. I installed something, or actually tried to play something called Delta V Rings of Saturn. Have you heard of that?
No.
So, I don't know if it's a thing or not, but what the pitch seemed to be was it's a top-down, classic Star Control or almost asteroids fly around in space type thing, but it's just about mining. All you do is mine rocks, and I thought, I'm totally into that idea. Like, really into that idea. When you download one of these things, these almost edge cases on PC, which are like, it might be a big thing or it might not be, you never know whether it's going to have joypad controls. And sometimes they've been botched in, and if it doesn't, I'll turn it off. This one did seem to run fine, but I had no idea what I was meant to be doing. Crashed into an asteroid, disabled all of my things, and uninstalled it. So 7 out of 10 for that. And then I installed a game called Goobies. As soon as I saw it, I knew what it was. It was like a quirky, well-presented, blobby, indie take on Vampire Survivors, that mechanic. What do they call those? Do they call them auto shooters? Is that something like that? Anyway, the reason I could tell it was indie was not just the very clever, the very indie colour set or this blobby, nice cartoonish presentation, but it was the font. You know that font that all indies use? I can't remember what it's called, but Sock Pop use it all the time, and everything's a bit shaky and that kind of thing. It was that, and it sold it to me straight away, and I'm like, I do not get Vampire Survivors. I mean, I get it. I get that it's addictive, but I don't think it's nearly as clever as everyone says it is. It's just addictive. It's just a grind. Mind you, it'll be easy, and I can play it, straight away. Downloaded it, and it is exactly that. And it throws loads of stuff at you, loads of options. You can choose this upgrade or this upgrade to kill these blobs. Oh, it's quite satisfying. Maybe next time through, I'll choose 2 of these and 1 of the other one. Do that. Oh, this time, it's just min-maxing. That's all it is. It's min-maxing the game, like Vampire Survivors. I find it substantially more charming, but somehow also less interesting than Vampire Survivors. I saw 2 people accredited with it. One of them was credited with doing the numbers, i.e. doing the code. The other one was credited as the ideas guy. And I'm like, What is the idea here, really? It's not a bad game. I'll probably play it again, and it is easy, but I think a lot of the time that's what people default to. They default to playing the thing that is easy to play. I went back to 7 out of 10. I went back to Backpack Hero because, I don't know, last week I think I was quite negative about it because it's overwhelming. It throws so much stuff at you, almost as if they don't know how much stuff is in their game. I broke the back of it. I understood what I was doing. In that way, when you get a Slay the Spire character and you're like, okay, I've got my strategy, I'm going to do this. And again, it becomes about min-maxing, right? Not about spreading your points about, but really breaking the system, putting everything in poison and just getting it. So you're accumulating loads of poison and you feel great about this because you've beat the designer and you feel like you've broken the game. And that's what this game is about. It is satisfying when you understand that and you get to do it. And I beat the game twice, once by piling everything, I think it was into poison, and once by piling everything into defense, so no one could really hurt me, and then just grinding them down. It felt good. There are 5 other characters, and I thought, I'll try, or 4 other characters. I thought, I'll try another one. But getting past that hurdle of going, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't understand everything, is too much for me. It's so hard, and it doesn't explain everything. If you can get past that, yeah, breaking the game's mechanics feels good, like it does in all of those games. If you can't, you'll go and play something like Goobies instead. 7 out of 10.
What a busy week you've had.
I have. I actually genuinely was like, last night, I was like, I don't know whether I've got anything to talk about. But actually, I've played loads of Game Boy games, to try and find the right stuff for Alice. I've dug out my old Game Boy as well. Maybe I'll talk about that on the podcast intro, which if you're listening on Resonance, you can download at www.onelifeleft.com. And in between that, I've also lived my life. It's been a busy week.
Good stuff. Well, thank you for listening. We are hurtling towards the end of the show and the end of this season, I believe. It's going to be a good summer, hopefully. I will have finished Ratchet and Clank. There's another game I do want to play, which the name of which has just escaped me, by the guys that made Katamari. Have you heard of this? Yeah, you want those games, right? So here you go now. Let's see you clear them, which is a satirical look at mobile phone casual games. I'm looking forward to playing. Will I? Who knows?
We'll find out in September. But until then, thanks, Resonance. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We've been One Life Left. Goodbye.
Goodbye.